We're back with Armstrong School District Education Today. We're talking with Mr. Robert Scummai, an instrumental music instructor at Lenape Elementary.
What options are available for students to participate in?
In fourth grade, the students have to reach a certain level of proficiency by playing one simple song. And the song involves 4 notes, and once they hit that target, they are eligible for the cadet beginner band, and they will perform in the spring concert. In 5th and 6th grade, the students are in the bigger band. We do more advanced material. The tunes are more complicated. And then at usually the holiday program, at the Christmas program, I have the opportunity for ensembles to form their own, such as we have a flute ensemble that might play Silent Night in 3-part harmony, or we might have 3 or 4 trumpet players that will want to do Hark the Herald Angels Sing. So that is usually featured at the Christmas concert.
Are there other options that these students have outside of school for performances? If so, how do they become involved in those?
Well, a lot of the students come to me and say, our church is putting on a play and I'm asked to perform on my saxophone or clarinet. So a lot of the churches will get students involved. A lot of students like to perform for their grandparents, their families, whenever they get together for the holidays. So that's an outlet. When they get older, we're very fortunate in this county to have the Armstrong County Community Band. So when they're older, they have the opportunity of performing in ensembles such as this.
Let's talk a little more about the performance side of things. How do you determine when a student is ready to join the band ensemble?
Well, when we first get together, we learn to sing a 4-note simple song. We simply sing it. The kids sing it, and then a few weeks down the road, once their embouchure is formed and set, and they can play some tunes, we make it very simple at first. We start with 1 note, and they get 1 note. Then they have to use their ability to hear the change. So we ask them to learn 2 notes. And we have a very simple little song. We invented it on our own. It's called the Shark Song. So they'll learn like maybe 1 note, play this note. And then you get to tongue it. And when they can do that without puffing their cheeks, forming the embouchure properly, holding the instrument correctly, moving their fingers correctly, they learn to change the sound. The trick here is that I do not let them see my fingers, because they could look at it and it becomes visual. I want them to develop audiation skills, to be able to hear the change. So we say, we're going to do the Shark Song. We're going to do this note. Let's call that note Do, and this note T. Now repeat after me. Do, T, and the students do that. They move their fingers. And then I'll hide my fingers and I'll go play this. And they'll play bum, bum, and try this one. So they're moving their fingers a little faster. They're using their tongue, and they're coordinating their fingers with their tongue. So you can do that on all of the instruments. So we develop skills. We do skills so they learn to listen and change their fingers by listening, not simply watching. That's an easy way to do it.
When you first introduce the new students to the band ensemble, what kinds of challenges do the students meet there?
When you put 5th and 6th graders together in September, they are technically 4th graders and 5th graders until the first concert. So I'm working with basic beginners, and we have to get them to think together as a team. At last year's band, I knew that we were going to have strong flutes, and I know you can see the band developing through their different strengths and weaknesses. So our first objective is to play one song from beginning to end, nonstop, and we usually make it as simple as possible. Yesterday we had a rehearsal, and most students, when they're playing, they want to be heard. So beginners are going to play a simple song pretty loud. And they're going to play loud because it's all about them. And through time we say, let your sound blend in with the other instruments. And a band sound. And yesterday we actually had fifth graders and sixth graders, they're starting to develop and they're mature in their sound by playing more polite. Moving their fingers and putting accents with it. So it takes time, and the best part about it, the fifth graders learn from the sixth graders. The sixth graders have already experienced the clumsiness of playing in an ensemble, and they've developed their skills. And the fifth graders are all new, they're a little bit scared, but then the sixth graders help them. Quite often in band, I'll say stop, and I try to seat a sixth grader with a fifth grader, sixth grader with a fifth grader, help each other out, and divide up some of the responsibility of learning to the more advanced students. And if you really know something, you can teach it to somebody else.
How many performances are there in a school year, and when do they generally take place?
Our first performance is rather quick in the school year because we're putting students together for an early November performance. With the fifth and sixth graders, we always perform one song for Veterans Day. And it's always such a challenge to get students together and to play one song from beginning to end. But we also do a holiday Christmas program, and we do a concert in the spring. The concert in the spring, you can hear a world of difference from what they sounded like at the end of December, January, February, March, April. By May, their growth is phenomenal. They are playing like musicians. They're playing like fifth and sixth graders instead of fourth and fifth graders. So it's fun to hear and experience.
How is student performance and progression measured?
Well, we measure it by giving tests, occasional tests. Every 9 weeks I'll have the students play something by themselves. When they're playing within a group, it's easy to hide their mistakes. But when I single them out in class and say, okay, let me hear you do this, they have to stand on their own 2 feet and produce it without the help of the kids around them. And the progression is measured. We just go in bits and chunks. When we get a new song, we don't try to digest everything at once. What we do is perhaps play sections of it till we get to the end, and then work through the most difficult sections and learn bit by bit in small chunks, and then you put the whole puzzle together.
Take us inside your classroom. What kind of techniques do you use for both new and experienced musicians?
Simple things. We have a CD player. We have a whiteboard that the students come up, and today in fourth grade we have a thing called your hand. And Mr. Krakota taught them that every good boy does fine. And we have the spaces, F-A-C-E. So I tell the students any one of these could be the resting tone in major tonality. So we'll go through and we'll sing little things. We could do it this way. This is do, re, mi, fa, so. But if you go like this is do, it has a musical connection. This one would be re. If this is do, what's this one? They would sing ti, do, re, mi, re, do. Hot cross buns is what it would look like if it was on lines. Then we go and say, what if this was the do down here? If that was do, re, mi, here's hot cross buns, hot cross buns. So they get used to looking at the 5 lines and 4 spaces on their hand, and they maneuver it. So it's not very technical, but it works.
A few weeks ago, Mr. Krakota talked to us about and showed us the Quaver software. Do you use this or any other programs? If so, how have they worked?
Actually, I have one class of kindergarten on Fridays, and the Quaver curriculum works really well with the kindergarten kids. We'll do segments on steady beat and syllables, and I be honest, I really don't use it in the instrumental class setting because it really just doesn't have much of a purpose when learning an instrument.
For parents who have students that are playing and learning an instrument, what should they be prepared for as far as commitment goes and to help their students succeed?
Well, progress is gradual, and I truly believe that any student can learn provided they put the work forth at home. We ask 15 minutes because what they learn in class needs to be reinforced at home. Initially, students are not going to sound very good in September, October, even November. But students start to play the songs, a simple little 4-note song at the end of November, and I've had already 25 kids hit that certain goal, hit that target in early December. But I've also had students last week come to me and say, hey, I finally figured out this song. Am I in the band now? Absolutely. Can you play the song? Yes. Does it sound like a song? Yes. If it has a steady beat and the pitches are there, they have overcome an obstacle. They have learned one song. And if you have one success leads to other successes.
When it comes to selecting an instrument to play, are there any guidelines or suggestions that you can give to perspective for students and parents?
Yes, early in the year after they take the music test, Murphy's Music Store in Leechburg is kind enough to give me a used flute, a clarinet, a sax, a trumpet, a trombone, and a drum pad. So the students come down 2 at a time for 15 minutes, and the first thing I do is say, what instrument do you want to play? And they'll say, well, I would like to try the trumpet. And maybe their embouchure, maybe their lips are maybe thicker. So I said, okay, let's try to get one note, do this. And then they finally, if they struggle, if they have a hard time, I'll say, okay, let's try this instrument. This is a trombone. It's got a mouthpiece just like the trumpet. And a lot of times, being that the mouthpiece is larger, the lips will fit in better, the teeth will fit in better, and a student has the chance of success of producing a tone is easier. So then you take what they did here, try to get them back on a trumpet. I let the final decision up to the student, to the parents and the student, but I do try to have the students, it's difficult to try all the instruments in 15 minutes to try to form the embouchure and get a basic sound, but I use that as a springboard. Several children have tried the flute and not be able to produce a sound. So it's kind of a waste of mom and dad's money to spend money on this instrument where their success on a clarinet is much greater. If they could make a sound on there, which one in your mind was better? Which one on the saxophone? Okay, you did good on that one. So you try to give advice to the students and to the parents. And I usually do that September, early October to help them.
Finally, where and how can parents secure an instrument for their student? What options are there?
Well, a lot of people, some people, maybe their moms or dad played an instrument, or their aunt or uncle, and they have a used instrument. My method of operation is I have to inspect it first. I don't think you would put any child on a bicycle that had a flat tire and the chain came off and say, here, learn how to ride this bike. I inspect the instruments and I'll play them and make sure that they are in playing condition. So we have that as an option. Another option is to rent the instrument either from a place like Smale's Drum Shop here in Katanning, or Leechburg, Murphy's Music in Leechburg is that you can rent instruments. Most people prefer the renting rather than buying, because once you buy it, you are stuck with it. I also tell parents, and it happens, where they find a bargain on the internet. I've seen instruments already, and I put my mouthpiece in, and the instrument is poorly constructed. There's a lot of metal that has to meet and be refined, and some of the instruments are poorly constructed that maybe you can get for $100 or $200. People think they're saving money, but in essence, the instrument needs to be of good quality. Another option, which is really, we're fortunate in the Armstrong School District to have, is the Do, Re, Mi program, which instruments are donated to the district. They are refurbished, and the students get that instrument from the time they start until they graduate high school. They can have access to that particular instrument, and it's been a big plus for everybody in Armstrong County, because the work situation is not necessarily good. A lot of folks, with the factories not working, they can't afford an instrument. So it's a nice opportunity given to children that they have that chance to play an instrument, to try it. And we're very fortunate in our school district to have that option.
Is there anything else you'd like to add to the benefit for our viewers?
Yeah, I believe that playing an instrument, that it's something you can enjoy throughout your life. It also teaches students perseverance. At first we can't play a song, but by working at it in a logical fashion, they eventually learn that success is possible. Students learn that the ones that sacrifice and give up time and practice, that they learn to give up other things to sacrifice for a common goal. Recently, our students attended Heinz Hall in Pittsburgh for a free concert. Shannock Valley Elementary was at the concert, and they experienced music from musicians from Argentina, from China, from France, and they learned that music is common with all cultures. And music is beneficial in the sense that no matter how old you are, you can always find enjoyment and pleasure, and it's something that you can use for all of your life.
Okay, that's our show for tonight. I'd like to thank our guest, Mr. Robert Scamai, an instrumental music instructor at Lenape Elementary School.
Finally, we would be remiss if we didn't recognize my fellow film crew of Armstrong High School, led by teacher Mr. Josh Miklos.
Please join us again next week for another look at the Armstrong School District. DVD copies of this and all Education Today programming can be requested by contacting Chris Garitano at Armstrong High School. Visit our website for updated news and information about the district. Have a great week.